Hey, what up guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today and I'm back with another video. Now today's video we're going to be finishing the rest of She-Hulk from episode I think 6 to 9. I think I left off on episode 5, that was my last review on the show. I was gone for quite a while because simply, I had a bunch of stuff happening in this house, we were fixing things up. So I was still watching the show at the time. The only thing was I wasn't really making any videos on each episode because I didn't have any time. And I was planning on doing one yesterday, but then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? They're going to have a new episode by tomorrow or whatever, like late night. So I said, let me just watch it and do a review. And I have literally just right now finished the final episode of the season. So yeah, I'm pretty much caught up on this entire show. I've been watching it consistently throughout the entire time. It's just that I haven't been, uploading videos. Oh yeah, it was episode 4. Apparently not episode 5 was the last review I had. So I'll try to go through all the other episodes and do a little synopsis of them, and then especially talk about the ending because I know there's a lot of about the ending that people want to talk about. So let's get into it. Now the 5th episode, basically we have Jennifer against Titanica, whatever her name is. Basically it was a legal dispute about the name She-Hulk. Apparently she owned the right to the name for a beauty product, and Jen used that name first, but she never confirmed that that was her name, and she stated that she didn't like it. So we have this whole court scene against her and against, the villain. And basically it was like a two-part thing. It was one where her friend and the guy that works there, I forgot what his name is, they both went to try to work with this designer guy who makes costumes for superheroes. And they wanted to make, Jen a costume for her She-Hulk self, so, because she had to wear big clothes and look ridiculous. So they went to that, and that basically the side story there is the guy knows some dude that does the stuff, like, make superhero clothes, so he goes to try to find it, and then her friend is obviously helping him out because she wants to help her friend out and get her a super suit. So as she helps her out and stuff, that's like the side plot. Personally, there's nothing much there. It was just some goofy, comedic stuff, which I'll admit that the comedy with that was actually pretty funny, with them holding the fake, Avengers memorabilia, like the Captain America shield, the toy and stuff, and them acting like kids. I thought that was kind of funny, but the main story of the episode was pretty trash. The whole court scene, and I know a lot of people have complained about the court scenes being boring. It's kind of like when you watch a show with monsters. They have the monster, the monster of the week, where it's just filler fodder episodes. But the difference between that and this show is at least those, they're fighting against creatures. This one is mostly just court scenes, which are boring. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, she's a lawyer, why wouldn't they have court scenes? And I'll explain why I think they do it poorly, and it's not just because they have court scenes, because you can do it right. It just depends on how you do it. I just feel like the way they did it is very, very bad. But yeah, going back to it, it's nothing entertaining. It's really dumb. Basically, the whole episode, she's trying to prove it, and the argument against her is, you didn't even like the name, said you didn't take it, it was given to you by other people. And then hers is like, well, yeah, I didn't capitalize on it, but it was given to me. It wasn't something that I made up and stuff, so you can't really blame me for that. That's what the general public calls me. Then she had another lawyer friend who basically was doing the case for her. She got the guys that she dated to come up on trial, and as they came up for the trial, basically they what's the thing called? She was using them as a witness and testimony, especially the big guy that she slept with, that shared the fries, that she thought was a good dude, which you can see from a mile away who's gonna be a fuckboy. I mean, the whole line about the fries, that wasn't even a clever one. And yeah, basically they had them, she was embarrassed, but she needed them to expose the thing, and she won the court case, but it was boring. And like I said, I know a lot of people say, well, this show should have, it's a lawyer show, so there would be court scenes. And I saw somebody stating this in some video, but my argument to that is how it's done. It's done in such a lame, boring, goofy manner that it's ridiculous. I feel that if you want to look at a series that did court scenes very well and made it entertaining, watch Daredevil. Daredevil had some of the best, especially with the Punisher scene. That was amazing. So yeah, that show also had, countless moments with, court scenes and law stuff, but it was done right. It was done first It was done very entertaining wise. Second, it was done very professional looking. This one just seems like it's goofy and it's supposed to be for laughs, but it's not funny. And at least they didn't waste the entire episodes. And the thing that sucks is this show is short, only 9 episodes. You're telling me you're wasting most of these episodes on boring stuff that we don't need? You need to really, really focus on the main plot and not the side stuff. Because this does seem like a side thing. Like her against this lady in a court scene. Does anybody truly care about that? That was dumb. Also, this show, I feel like a lot of people that hate this show are the ones that are against the woke stuff and the feminist narrative, which I 100% agree with, but I do think that sometimes they go overboard and they say the show is the worst or this and that, and I do see that, but I don't think it's to the extreme, but I do agree with them to the fact that they do sprinkle it on, and when they do sprinkle it on in episodes, it is heavy. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's the one side that's against it, that's oh, they do it all the time. Trust me, after watching so many TV shows and movies in the modern day, this is very, very tame compared to that. I have seen so much, especially on the CW, the way that, oh my god, the way the feminist narrative has been pushed, the hatred towards men, it's unbelievable. But this show, it does have it, but like I said, it's completely tame compared to those other ones. But yeah, when they do sprinkle it, they do it heavy. This one, she was her lawyer friend's yeah, that guy was horrible and stuff. You deserve better than this. I'm why did she deserve better? First of all, her judgment calls were terrible. The only reason she went with this guy was because he made a corny ass line about splitting the fries. Ooh, that it was such a great thing. And then second of all, it was because he was attractive. She even said it in the last episode. She's he was hot, really hot. And that was what she was focusing on. So she can't really complain that he was a fuckboy. It's you, first of all, you slept on the first night. Second of all, you didn't even check to see if he was a good guy or not. He just dropped a corny line and you were attracted by him. And then you're okay, he must be a good dude. What did you expect? And I don't want to bring in real world stuff, but if they're going to be doing that with the show, then I guess I have the right to do it too. But you hear this a lot from women. They're oh yeah, this guy was terrible. And you hear guys saying stuff maybe if you didn't date jerks, this wouldn't have happened. And then they're oh, r/nice guy, and they say stupid shit oh, you're being misogynistic, which is not. It's just, you're just being fucking idiot. And my argument too is well, it's just because you were stupid. You didn't really try to vet the person. You looked at how attractive they were, and that bypassed any logic or how much money they had or status or height or whatever. And it's it's fine to go for those things, but if that's the only thing you go for and you're not, actually evaluating the person, and then you get screwed over, you can be really mad. So Jennifer Walters, what she did in the episode, they try to make us feel bad for her, and this is what a lot of women do. But it doesn't make me feel bad, just it makes you look at them are you stupid? Did you even try? And this is not just on women. Guys do this all the time too. I think it's fair to say that both guys and women do this. Guys, they see an attractive girl, they see, red flags, and they ignore the red flags because they're just too stupid, oh my gosh, she's hot. And then they get screwed over, and then they cry about it and become red pill, whatever. So it's not, me saying this is not being an r/nice guy, because I don't want these women, I don't care about them. I'm not trying to be an r/nice guy or even an incel, because I think both sides do that stupid thing. It's on you. I'm just saying that if you're gonna be stupid, it's on you. And if you make the mistake, it's fine, but don't cry about it online. Just shut the fuck up. And this is what the show did. So when I hear women doing this stuff, bitching about the guys, it's 1, 2, 3, you guys. Okay, I get it. But if it's every guy, then you're just a dumbass. Either you're mentally disabled or you're just a fucking liar. But yeah, it was a shallow reason, so I didn't feel bad for her. They're trying to make us feel emotions for her, and I don't feel bad for women and men that go through this shit. They bitch, they make stupid decisions, and they bitch about it online, and we're supposed to listen to it. Shut the fuck up, you fucking complete dumbasses. But yeah, we had that. Then we had the next episode, which was a wedding episode. Completely lame, also really boring episode. Basically, the episode was spent on Jen. She's going to, somebody she knew in high school or college, I don't know, one of her friends from there. She's going to her wedding, and her friend is working on a case with the other lawyer lady since she's gone, and it was to work with this guy named Mr. Immortal, who's in the comics, who cannot die and stuff. He keeps on coming back. And so the main plot, basically a wedding. The villain shows up in the wedding. So she's trying to act like she's normal, but she's obviously trying to sabotage it and, ruin Jen's moment there. And then Jen dealing with her friend that's having the wedding, that's kind of a douchey. She's one of those bitchy, I guess you can say pretty girls, whatever. She's one of those types, and Jen is like, you know, she's just like a doormat towards her. She's like, oh, you can walk all over me, I don't care. But yeah, the other side plot was like Mr. Immortal was, he was getting sued by his ex-wives and husband, one of them, because he, every time instead of just filing for divorce or whatever, he would kill himself and they think he died, but he was immortal, so he keeps on coming back. And then he would leave, and then they would be mad and they'd try to sue him. And both these episodes, these parts of this, the main plot and the side plot, were dumb. They were very boring. But the side plot kind of pissed me off because you have him telling this, and he's their client. And as lawyers, we know, lawyers, they take some of the worst clients. They can take rapists, they can take murderers, they can take, you know, some of the most heinous criminals, and they still, you know, try to fight for them, no matter how, you know, morally conflicting it may be. But this guy does this, which is kind of, I guess you can say scummy, but it's nowhere near that bad. And they're judging him, and then they're shitting on him. I'm like, this is not how lawyers do it. Do they know what the fuck a lawyer is? Lawyers do not, you know, shit on their client, even if they're doing something like this. And this is nowhere near as bad as the other ones. So it just made me, it was like, wow, this is just, once again, like the feminist thing. You screwed over women. How dare you? You did something that would hurt women's feelings. That is horrible. Like, lawyers don't take over complete severe criminals that actually did the shit and lie for them. Like, come on. That shit was just stupid. It was like, and then they're just judging him. And then when he's in the court stuff, and they try to do the plea deals and stuff with the other women, they're basically screwing him over because they don't like how he handled the situation. So I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, like, he's your client. It doesn't matter. Like, how many lawyer shows were we seeing where the lawyers take over, like, complete scumbags as, you know, as their, you know, clients and defend them. And these bitches can't even do that for a guy that does this. This is nowhere near that bad. Shut the fuck up. It was just some whining from the feminist narrative. And then we had the wedding scene where there wasn't really much there for the wedding. It was just, you know, Titania or whatever her name is. She was just basically trying to start some shit with Jen and pretend like she wasn't. And then Jen was drunk and she started attacking her. And then Jen was like, she's like, transform. And I was like, why would you want her to transform? She literally bodied you with she one-shotted you the first time you fought her. You literally haven't changed or done anything different now. What is different now that you think you can really, you know, it was just dumb. It was like, you're just going to get bodied again. She was getting beat up and then she trips and busts her teeth. And I'm just like, that's such a lame way to lose. And on top of it, for somebody who has super strength, how do you fuck up your mouth from falling? If you can take a punch from She-Hulk, you could definitely take a fall from, like, you know, hitting down the ground. This is dumb. So they had that. She meets this other guy she's interested in. He also shows her like a modicum of, like, you know, interest and respect, and she's like, wow, he's such a great guy. It's just ridiculous. She's very desperate and pathetic. She's even more pathetic than most guys, and that's saying much because guys can be really desperate and pathetic, if I'm being honest. But yeah, she ends up with him, sleeps with him again. Obviously doesn't go to the ride because, like, you just met this guy, you don't even know who the hell he is. I mean, he might seem nice on the surface, but you got to know something more before, you know, you do something like that. But she ends up with him. He leaves, and she's keep on trying to message him. And this is like episode 7. This episode, to be honest, some people hated this episode, but I actually kind of liked it for a couple of reasons. The humor definitely, I think, was a lot better in this episode. The show does have some moments where the humor is good. I just think in general the humor can be very, like, meh, but they do have some good moments, you know, and this episode did do pretty good. But yeah, after that, she basically after the wedding thing and stuff, I think, or it was around this episode, there's the thing with this group called I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry, it's really hard to pronounce for me, Intelligentsia. Sorry for that, but this is basically Reddit. It's Reddit, and it's filled with, apparently, you know, like incels and all these other guys that hate women, but especially She-Hulk because she's a powerful female, I guess. I guess they could have thrown Captain Marvel on that shit too. But yeah, they hate her, and her friend found out and sent her that stuff. I forgot which part of the episodes, because like I said, I watched it when it came out. I just didn't do a video on it, so I kind of forgot. I'm not going to rewatch this shit. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not really planning on rewatching this crap at all. But yeah, so they did that to do the Reddit thing. Once again, throwing shots at guys that are calling out the show, saying this and that. And I will admit, there are definitely guys that would be saying this that are sexist. But I think that the problem with it is they assume that everybody that calls it out is sexist. I don't think that's the case. I think people just don't like it because it's shitty written, and most of it is just the same feminist narrative hating on men. It's like you're complaining that these guys are just hating on women, but then you make a show that's just hating on men. It's like you're just the same, but just a female version. So it's like you both are just complete trash yourself. So who cares? But yeah, they just do that. Her friend sends it to her, and maybe it becomes a problem. Whatever. These guys are supposed to be the big bad guys. They have I forgot what it's called, something Hulk. And I'll get into that one too. Like, because this is gonna be the finale, and yeah, getting back into it, she deals with that. Emil Blonsky's, his ankle monitor goes off. They go to check on him, but apparently it was just that, it's busted, so they had to fix it. It wasn't his fault, apparently. And she goes, her car gets destroyed by these two guys that are fighting. Apparently they're part of a support group that Emil Blonsky created, and he's basically just trying to help them out with, whatever their problems they might have. And, yeah. Then this episode is just basically a therapy session with her. It is a little bit funny, I would say. It's not like, oh my god, it's overly hilarious or a great episode, but compared to the other stuff, let's be honest, this is leagues above it. Come on, like, we can't really, like, we gotta get something. We gotta give the show something, at least. But yeah, this episode was fine. She had to talk with these other guys, these other obscure characters, which I do appreciate that Marvel is bringing up these obscure characters from the comic books and actually giving them something. Though I just feel like most people won't care about them, so it's still pretty pointless. But yeah, they had that episode. That's how it ended. Emil Blonsky and stuff, he's the whole spiritual dude. Then that was pretty much it for that episode. And then episode 8 comes in, and it was the second to last episode. And I would say this is easily the best episode of this entire show, and it's simply due to the fact that they had Daredevil, Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox. Absolutely love that guy. He is a great, phenomenal actor, and you can tell he loves Daredevil. He's passionate of Daredevil. Not only him, but John Bernthal, who played, the Punisher. These two guys, very, very passionate and dedicated to their roles. Because John Bernthal read the Punisher, I think it was like Max stories and stuff, and he was trying to make his character off that. And Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox, he knows how Matt Murdock and, Daredevil is. And this episode did get a little bit of controversy with how they handled Daredevil, and I'll go into how I felt about the handling of Daredevil in this episode. But yeah, this episode basically we also found out that the guy that Jen slept with was apparently, he was a part of the group, the Intelligentsia group. He took a photo of her naked and or in the bed, and then he took her also blood to synthesize. So they took it, and then he leaves. And then we have, going back to episode 8, basically, we have this guy named Leapfrog or whatever. He's some obscure character in the comic books. He's a hero. He's trying to take down the criminals, but his suit is failing. He's trying to run away, and it fails, and he gets beaten up because of it. Then he goes to, She-Hulk. He's like, hey, look, my suit failed. I want to sue the manufacturer who made the super suit for me. She's like, okay, then who is it? What happened? Apparently it was the designer guy that made She-Hulk her costume, and she doesn't want to really do it because he's going to make a dress for her in, like, I think a Met Gala or something like that, and she doesn't want to ruin that, which makes sense. And then she tells her boss, like, hey, this might mess with my work and stuff, I can't do it and stuff. And he's like, you gotta do it, bitch, you ain't got no other options. She's like, okay. She went to tell to the guy, and the guy obviously was pissed. He's like, bitch, I just made you a suit. Bitch, I just made you a super suit, and I'm making you a dress, and you're trying to sue my ass. Like, I can get that. And she's like, but you did fuck up. And he's like, I don't fuck up, bitch. You say that shit again, I'm sorry. But yeah, he was just not having it. He was like, who the fuck do you think you are? So he tore up the dress. He's like, fuck that shit. So she's like, okay, now I'm coming after you. So they had the court scene, and this is where we get Matt Murdock, who's defending him because he created his new suit for him, the red and yellow suit, which I will get into that too. I don't know why they changed the red suit. They should have at least explained. I hope that when the Daredevil show comes out, that they explain what happened to the red suit. Did it get damaged? Because why would they just change it? But yeah, he comes in. I was so happy. I was like, hell yeah, my boy, he's back. And we knew he was coming in. I just didn't know when. But he comes in. He's defending the other guy. And then there's a back and forth between Jen and him, and he's actually beating Jen. And this is one of the problems I have with people that discredit the show. They're like, oh, she's a Mary Sue. Technically, she's not. She has imperfections with her personality. She is, one, has low self-esteem. Two, has trouble, like, you know, finding, you know, right guy. She's not this perfect, like, being. Even though they do ask her a little and say she's amazing, but that's just common shit that you see with women. Like, look at any woman that posts something about, I think I'm ugly, and then the women are like, no, you're beautiful. Even if you're overweight, you're beautiful. You're beautiful no matter what. Like, they always say that shit. So it's like, it's just more realistic. But yeah, I mean, it's just society in general. I think it's real life. You can't say that, oh, this is over-exaggeration, because in real life this happens. Though I think it's annoying, I think we should stop ass-kissing women. We should treat them like how we treat men, and, you know, be honest. If somebody's ugly, say you're ugly, but, you know, you don't have to bully them. Just be honest with them. Like, hey, you have some problems, but, you know, that's how we all are. We're all imperfect. But yeah, she basically... people saying her and Mary Sue, I don't agree. Like I said, she has character flaws, and they have admitted it. She obviously doesn't look at herself as this touchable being, and she did lose the court case and showcase that she does have good, prowess when it comes to the law. But Matt is just more a seasoned veteran. If she was a really Mary Sue, she would have beat him in the case and be better than him in everything and stuff. Like how she's trying to show compared to Bruce, which was kind of BS. But yeah. He beats him in the court case, then he's at a bar, and she's there, and he's talking to her. She called him, like, who's this asshole? I'm like, bitch, you do not call my mans Charlie Cox / Matt Murdock a fucking asshole. You're the asshole, bitch. But yeah, like, she talks to him in, like, the bar, and he's like, he's trying to be friendly, like, oh yeah, the case and stuff, and you see them hitting it off a little bit. I'm like, oh god, no, don't put them together. No, not Matt. Like, Matt, you got so many better options, man. Go back to, was it Karen or Carol? I forgot what her name was. Yeah, Karen, I think. Go back to her, man. Screw this bitch. Karen's tall as shit, though. She's like 6 foot. Jen is like 5'2", 5 feet. She's like 6 feet. The height discrepancy is hilarious. But yeah, he's being nice. They're seeing them hooking up, like, you know, trying to hint at that. I was like, ah. Then we see, apparently, the leapfrog guy. He is saying that he is being attacked. He's like, oh, I'm being attacked and stuff, and Matt Murdock is chasing after him, and it was Matt Murdock who was chasing after him. He was trying to beat him up, and we're trying to wonder what the hell is happening. So Jen is trying to stop Matt, who is Daredevil at this point, and she's fighting against him, and Daredevil's trying to take him down, but he's not really talking, and she's trying to throw hands, and you just see him being acrobatic, dodging, flipping over, doing all these crazy things, and just evading her, and she's obviously trying to muscle her way through it, smacking the ground, him jumping over it. She's talking about she's going to whoop his ass, and he's like, my ass remains unwhooped, and he jumps off the building and stuff. They have this whole fight scene, and I want to talk about this a little, because a lot of people were really pissed off about that. They're saying, man, they're making him a goofy character, they're making him a comedic character, look at him in the Netflix series, he was so serious and this and that, and I want to go through a couple of stuff with that and around that. Let's talk about that for a moment. He did joke around in the Netflix show. It was far more tasteful in a way where it was, more natural, and it was more just being, a bit of a smartass, a little bit sarcastic, and a little bit playful, But in this one, they hammed it up a little bit more, but I don't think enough to the point where people should seriously complain about it. For me, I felt like he was just having fun, Like, yeah, in the Daredevil show, he would do it, and yes, it would be more serious, but this show is not serious. It's more goofy, so it's fine for him to be this way, especially if he's acting normal. It's one thing if he was completely acting like a jackass or acting like an idiot, then I'll be like, okay, you're really ruining him. But him having a little bit more of a sense of humor, ooh, that's not a bad thing. They didn't make him look like a douchebag. They didn't make him look cocky. They didn't make him look pathetic. They didn't make him look stupid. They didn't make him look incompetent. If it was those things, then I would see, yeah, okay, this is a problem. They shouldn't be doing an iconic character like that, like how fucking Supergirl did with Superman. You shouldn't be shitting on them just because they're male characters. But they didn't do that. All they did was add in a little bit more humor. Ooh, that is such a bad thing to do. Like, some of these guys, like I said, I agree with the whole not liking the feminist shit. I hate feminism in general. I think it's just dog shit at this point. Like, any woman that says they're a feminist, I don't want to talk to you. You're fucking nuts. But these guys are just as bad. Like, you guys are getting mad about everything, and it's not just that, they're having a problem with Marvel having joke, and I know I've seen a lot of the memes and stuff about, oh, they're gonna make this super villain make this stupid joke, and I get that, but the reason that Marvel, the cinematic universe, got so big was because they had a good blend of humor and action and drama. It was not just drama, action, and seriousness. It had humor. If it didn't have the humor, let's be honest, it wouldn't have been as popular. DC did the whole thing without the humor aspect and did all the serious shit, and it didn't get anywhere that far. Obviously, there was more other problems, but, you know, humor is a good thing, and that's one of the reasons why I love the MCU, because they could have serious moments, they could have, you know, impactful moments, they can have, you know, fun action moments, and they can also have humor. It's a great blend of, you know, different emotions and styles. I don't see a problem with that. So they did it very well. The whooping my ass part, I don't have a problem with it. He wasn't saying anything too stupid or corny. Also, I do like the combat skills that he was showcasing in this. In this show, like I said, they improved his skills, and that's a great way to do it, because the time that's passed since Daredevil to this has been quite a bit of time. It's been years. So for him to go from like what we see in Daredevil to this is crazy. So yeah, I do love the fact that he looked more agile, he looked more athletic. Even She-Hulk could barely touch him, and you know, she was trying her hardest, and he was dodging. He was amazing. So yeah, like, obviously she overpowered him and she beat him, but it's like, what do you expect? She's a Hulk. Even if she's She-Hulk, she's a Hulk. So I didn't have a problem with that. I just love the way they made him look more powerful. Though I will say the problem I had was the CGI with his, you know, movements. It did look very fake and wonky and stuff. I do, like I'm conflicted. One side, it does look bad, but on the other side, it does make him more professional, you know? Like, I expected his skills to increase, and it did. If I was to compare this Daredevil skills to the previous one, he's insanely different. The other one was like peak human. This one's like superhuman with his abilities, and that's how he should have been. Because that's how it was in the comic books. You know, he had insane, you know, balance and movements. So yeah, they did perfectly with that. But I just think the CGI is not up to par. But then again, this entire show CGI has been pretty shitty. I mean, look at She-Hulk. Look at you know, Abomination. How they look like when they have the CGI. It's like ugh. That's one of the problems. I think the big problem with the show is they shouldn't have made a show about any character that has CGI, whether it's She-Hulk or Hulk or stuff like that. It's hard to do. It's not like Loki, you know, where he does have some stuff, but it's like the magical, you know, things he does. It's just a little bit special effects here and there. But being a full-eyed CGI character in a show which has a limited budget, it looks bad. Even they can't even do it well in the movies anymore. How are you going to try to do it for a show? Obviously, it's going to look bad. So, yeah. But it looked wonky, but I think it was cool to see his skills improve. They also have them busting into the headquarters where the guy is. We find out apparently that he kidnapped the designer dude, and he actually has his own henchman crew. And technically, he's not that much of a good guy. He is kind of a bad guy. He does have like he does have like an evil crew and stuff. So she finds out and she's like, "Why didn't you just tell me?" He's like, "My bitch, are you serious? You literally just started swinging the moment I came into place. Like, I was in the middle of the shit and you jumped in, so it's your fault." But yeah, she was working with him. He's talking about he can hear, and she's like, "Are you really blind?" Also, I forgot to mention, she finds out that he's Matt Murdock, and he's like, "What the hell? You're Matt Murdock and shit?" And she's like, "Are you even blind?" Which they always ask that, like they're like, a blind man that's capable of doing great deeds? No, I don't believe that. Which is kind of fucked up. They're like, you know, I mean, he's blind, so what? Blind people have great hearing. But yeah, he's talking about he can hear who is in there, their heartbeat. She's like, "You're kidding." And, you know, some people might be like, well, she's judging him, but, like, she's never met the guy, and that ability to hear like that is still pretty, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But I do like the fact that they're talking about, like, how impressive his abilities are. They both bust in. He's doing it the normal way to take them out. She just busts in and destroys it, and then takes them down. Some people I heard crying about this too, saying, "Oh, she had it coming." Look, she is a stronger character. Obviously, she can do it easier. Matt does more stealth. She does more, like, you know, brawling. That's just their styles. It makes sense. So it just makes sense. I don't have any problem with her doing something like that. I feel like a lot of people that complain about it, I feel like sometimes they have reasonable complaints, and then other times their complaints are just, how dare they make a female superhero show with feminism in it. And I get it to a certain extent, but, like, come on, dude. You can't. The complaints, it becomes ridiculous to a certain point. But yeah, it was perfectly fine. They took him down. The other guy starts making her suit back, and she's fixed. And then after that, we have her basically sleeping with Matt. They do have a little bit of a little conversation, and then they sleep. And I was like, oh man, really? Did they have to do this? But yeah, and then he's leaving, doing the walk of shame with his boots off, just walking. I'm just like, this guy. But yeah, you know, they didn't make him look bad at all. I don't think they did anything wrong with him. And I will do the ending synopsis of this because I do want to get onto the final episode, because I have quite a bit to say about the final episode and the rest of the show. But yeah, he walks away, which I guess, like, you know, good for Matt for getting lucky, but still, I just wouldn't rather not have that happen. But yeah, he leaves, she's happy, and then her friend comes over, she's like, isn't the episode supposed to be over? Everything good happened. And she's like, no, we have to go to the party. She goes to the party. She's getting an award, and as she's getting an award, the guys, the crew, I'm not gonna say the name, Intelligentsia or whatever the fuck it's called. I'm gonna call them the anti-She-Hulks. They basically set up the footage with the guy who took pictures and video of her being naked in the bed to enrage her. She destroys the screen. She starts raging out, starts attacking one of the guys, holds him by the neck. She's yelling. They catch her on camera. They're like, oh, she went hulked out. And this is what Bruce was warning her about, that even if you have control of it, the fact that you have the Hulk, you know, you're a Hulk, you can cause more damage, and you raging out extra, even with control, will make you lose that control. But no, she can, you know, control her anger infinitely better than him. She fucks up, she does this, she looks bad, and she gets put under arrest, and that was the end of that episode. Now let me go on to it. What do I feel like about, you know, Matt Murdock? Do I feel like they ruined him? No. I think he felt like the same, just a little bit more jokey. Don't have a problem with it. I think the jokes were still pretty good and tasteful. His movements, he looked very, very more fluid. He looked more acrobatic. They made him look more skillful, which I appreciate that. Though I would say the CGI was pretty bad, but yeah, it's hard to do it without that, because these are unnatural movements, so it's not really easy to do it, you know, naturally, even with wires. Charlie Cox was great. I'm so happy he was back. This was definitely the best episode of the show. I love him. He's a great character. I can't wait to see the, you know, the part of, what's the thing called? The Daredevil show. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's going to be this and that. Personally, I don't think it's going to be that bad. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be on Netflix's quality, and I think it's going to be a decrease. But for me, I just hope that it's not a significant decrease to the point where it turns to trash. As long as it's, you know, just a little bit worse, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine with it. Because I just love Daredevil. He's just one of my favorite superheroes, even before the Netflix show. But yeah, they did great with him. Didn't have a problem with him. Though I don't like his costume. If I'm being honest, I don't like his costume. And I know they're keeping it authentic to the comic book, so I'm not blaming them. I just feel like the problem with the fans I see is sometimes I hear fans complain about, why don't they make the comic book character look more comic book accurate with their costumes and stuff? And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but a lot of comic book costumes are ridiculous looking. A lot of the comic book stories, like backstories and shit, are ridiculous. Like, a lot of the stuff that we see is pretty stupid. And it's fine for a comic book to be supposed to be more fun and goofy, but when you try to make it more realistic, it looks ridiculous. Same thing for anime. Like, a lot of crazy stuff happen in anime, but if you do it live action, it doesn't look so good, so you have to change it up a certain ways. You can't have it can't be 100% authentic, because then it'll look weird. And that's how I felt about the suit. The yellow and the, you know, red did not look good. She even made a joke about him wearing mustard and ketchup, and I 100% agree with her. It looks awful. I'm sorry. But the people in the comic books that are like, oh, I want the comic book accurate one, the yellow red one, and geeking out about it. You're just geeking out because it's the original. Who gives a shit? It looks horrible. I'm sorry. But the Netflix, the red one from the comics is badass. That is a badass suit. But the yellow and red, no, not a good contrast of colors. I saw somebody else showing one of the other costumes that he had from the comic books, which was his red and black suit, which looked amazing, and I'd rather have that. I'm sorry, but like this one, I never want to see again. I'm sorry. If they have, you know, a Daredevil show coming out, I want him to be in his iconic red one, or, you know, a black and red one. I do not want to see him in this dog shit looking one. It's just, it's an abomination. Yeah, it's just oh god. And I heard this when people were complaining about, why don't they make Wolverine accurate? Why don't they have him wear his costume? You mean that yellow, red, and blue, and then sometimes the brown one? No, they look like shit. Yes, the ones in the X-Men movies look generic, but I'd rather take a generic looking superhero suit than a goofy looking one. Some of them work, like Spider-Man, amazing suits. No matter Spider-Man suits perfectly for like movies and TV. You can do it perfectly fine. Batman, most of them are pretty good. Superman, even though it sometimes looks goofy with the underwear stuff, it still can work very well. Certain characters works very well, but other characters like comic book, you have to change it up. So yeah, I just didn't like the costume. That was the only thing I could have negative about him. Then we get to episode 9, the series finale. First of all, before you even get to the finale, I just want to say I felt like they wasted most of the show. Like a handful of these episodes, like more than 50% of the show's episodes felt like filler and were pointless and didn't really lead to the main plot. And that's terrible when a show only has 9 episodes and you do that. It's fine if a show is long, like let's say Supernatural. I love that show, but it has like 24, 22 episodes each season, and a decent amount of it is, kind of fillerish, but they do still do it in an entertaining way. But you can give them a pass. I can give them a pass because simply the fact that they have a ton of episodes, so it's hard to have 24 episodes of meaningful, episodes. You have to have some that don't. But when you have like a short amount, like 9, you cannot waste it. It is precious. Each episode should be precious. Maybe 1, maybe even 2 I can accept, but not fucking more than half of it. If you do that, you just screwed it up. Like, I can't, to be honest, I don't think there was one good episode and one decent episode for me. One decent was 7, and I know a lot of people don't like it, and one good episode, episode 8. Every other episode was ass, and episode 9 definitely goes in the ass category. What the fuck was this ending? I'm gonna get into it. This ending was complete dog shit. I saw people saying, oh, they didn't like it, before I watched the episode, and my thoughts was like, well, what did you expect? The rest of this show isn't that great. But after watching it, even I was like, oh my god, my bar was already low for this shit, and you plummeted it down to hell, all the way to hell. And let me explain what happened. Okay, as this happens, she's under house arrest. She's taken in, and she basically, is dealing with her family. She lost her job, and she's trying to get her stuff together, and she's trying to fix it. And then her friend's like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to take down the organization that did this. So I'm going to get the guy to go in there because, they're all incel men that hate women. So I'm going to go in there and then, get him in there. And I'm just going to have to say misogynistic things. Because apparently anybody that, calls out the show is obviously misogynistic. Though I do agree some might be. I think majority of people just think it's dog shit because it's dog shit. I mean, most of these feminist narrative, like movies and TV shows, dog shit. Like, what do you expect? But yeah, she sends him in there to go look for her. He goes into the group. He starts pretending to be one of them. They're basically like, oh yeah, it's cool. He just says like basic shit, that they think that these guys that don't like women and this. Like, no, you can criticize women without being a hater. It's just, you can't act like women don't do fucked up shit. Like, a lot of these women act like they can call men out for their fuck shit, and they shouldn't be judged, which is fine. But the men can't call them out for their fuck shit because if they do, then they're incel or, misogynistic. No. Both sides can call each other out for fuck shit if they're doing something wrong. But if you're just, shitting on them, then I'll say that. I think this show is more like a femcel, as they say. Even though I hate that term, I think we should just call women incels too that act like this instead of just femcels. It's more degrading towards their ideology. But yeah, one particular scene that was mentioned, her friend stated, oh yeah, call them females because that's what they say instead of women. And for me, the whole female thing, it's like, I'll get into that towards the ending. Actually, let me get into it now. The whole female shit, I know I'm talking about political stuff in this, but they're bringing politics into it, so we have every right to talk about it, okay? And these reviews for the show, since it does have a political agenda behind it, not as strong as other ones, it does. I want to look at it two parts. One, just the show's writing and the show itself, and then the politics, and I want to talk more in depth on that. Because I do have a lot of these, I do have like feelings towards these things, these topics that I want to talk about, because I do feel like it's talked about a lot, and there's not that much from like other sides. But yeah, the whole calling them females thing. The reason why, first of all, it's not sexist to call them females. You say the gender is a construct, so calling man or woman is a construct. But if you call them male or female, guess what? You eliminate the construct. It is literally just what they are. So it's like the best, most purest definition and classification of the person of that specific gender. We don't want to just say gender, because then it's like, well, anybody can be anything. It's easier to call them female because then you won't get anything wrong. So there's the reason for that. Also, if you call men male, we don't give a shit. We really don't. Another thing about the whole female male thingy, or like female thing, is reason a lot of guys say females is because a lot of dudes that do it are under the context of talking about dating and relationships. And I'm sorry, but if you say women, then you're gonna have trans women coming in. And no offense to trans women, but guys do not want to, straight men do not want to deal with trans women. If you do, you're either bisexual or gay. Let's be honest. You're either bisexual or gay. And I know a lot of some people will say, well, you can be with a trans woman and not be gay. That's because they're the opposite gender. And it's like, no, sexuality is based off of sex. It's literally in the name, not gender. It doesn't matter if it's male or female, man or woman. It's male or female. That's how we classify it in the animal kingdom. Male, gay. Female, gay. Male, female, straight. It's that easy. Like, I don't know why people are so stupid about this. But yeah, so the reason why I was talking about this is because usually when they're talking about it, say female, it's specifically talking about dating or relationships. And these guys are straight guys, so they want to talk to women, but they don't want to talk to trans women. They're talking specifically to biological women. Saying biological women is just annoying. So female is the best way to identify that without having that whole argument and debate about, trans and this. Because most guys don't want to have that debate. We're just trying to, talk about women. So when a guy says female, especially in that sense, is not to just, degrade women. It's simply to remove, any topic about, what's the thing called? Trans women. Yeah, trans women. It's just to specifically state on the biological ones, and it's just simpler to call it female. So that's why they do it. But yeah, getting into the episode, he goes there, he's undercover. He's not even doing anything really crazy. He's just doing easy. And then he finds out, Todd, I think was the guy's name, he was actually there. And he finds out later on that not only does this guy stay there, but he's the one who created the group. And I'll get into that, but I also want to talk about the fact that Jen goes to Emil Blonsky's home, and she goes to one of the areas that he's supposed to be having a conference, and this is where the anti-She-Hulk group is meeting. So they basically have their meeting there, and he's supposed to be a special guest. So Emil Blonsky is evil, and he was lying, and he was a part of this, and I guess his spiritualistic side was a hustle, which I'm not surprised. But I don't know. In the episode, he didn't seem purely evil, but who knows? But yeah, this is where they're leading up to, and this is funny because we find out he's the leader. He's the guy that wants to get the Hulk powers, and he's the one that got the DNA. And here's the thing about this. People, it's funny because I was watching a YouTube short, and somebody was talking about how the writers in this show are so bad that when they introduced him in the first episode where he was trying to date Jen, basically they put on the title like Mini Hulk or something like He Hulk or something like that. They put it in the fucking description for his character. So basically they literally exposed it. They literally stated it in the fucking episode that he was a thing. So when they showed it here, I was not surprised. I was like, oh my god. And that's bad because that's a big fuck up, because the whole point when you have episodes or a show like this where you have like a secret villain or a bad guy and you want to find who they are, you have to make it mysterious as possible. And they messed up so badly that they made it obvious right there. And it makes even more sense when you think about the date. He was asking about her strength, what she can handle, this and that. It was all questions about, physical prowess. And it made sense, but yeah, they try to reveal it, and it was like, you guys are so stupid and so incompetent that you basically did it prior to that, and you were exposed. It was just shit. That's how you know you have bad writing. They did that. Then Emil Blonsky comes in to give the speech. He's doing this, and like, what the hell? she comes into the place. She's like, what the hell is happening? And now we have the entire situation. The guy comes in and says, yeah, you don't deserve the power. You didn't earn it. You just got it given to you, like nepotism and stuff. I earned it, which I don't know how he earned it. He just stole blood. And he injected himself, turned into a Hulk. So he became a Hulk. Emil Blonsky's there. What's the thing called? I forgot what else happened. Bruce Banner came in. He's fighting against him. And she's like, what the hell is happening? Wait, really? And this is where the episode goes completely dumb. She breaks the fourth wall. And she's talking about how dumb this is and how generic this is, and I would say they had some cool editing. She goes to the Disney Plus page thingy, punches out one of like the shows and her show, and then she goes into the thing to go to Marvel headquarters, the MCU headquarters, to talk about them. Like, what the hell are you doing with this episode? And you see the writing staff, they're joking about, oh, this is what we could do, and this is basically obviously fourth wall breaking, pointing out criticisms towards Marvel. This is just them calling out their own bad writing, basically saying that they're too formulaic. They have so many stories where somebody's taking one of their blood and using it as a generic, plot from any superhero thing. And what's the thing called? And she's basically calling out the bad writing, the formulaic stuff. Meeting this guy named Kevin. It's a machine. I was assuming we were gonna have Kevin Feige showing up since he's the main writer of Marvel and the owner. But nope. She goes to this machine and she starts like telling like, yo, what the fuck is with this shit, man? And like we do see some like a lot of fourth wall breaking, which I did like at first, but then it turned bad towards the ending. But she's like, yo, this is kind of stupid, this is generic, you keep on doing this, we need to fix this. MCU has a lot of problems and stuff, which I do appreciate that they're calling it out, but I felt like I'll give the reasoning why I think it's still dumb in the ending. But yeah, she's going on about how, she's like, this is bad, this is formulaic, we need to change it up, we need to do this, we can't just do this, it makes no sense, all these characters just jumping in out of nowhere, it's random as hell, it's just dumb, it's chaotic, you guys do this all the time, we make it like crazy impactful towards the ending. So she changes that and she starts telling the robots like, okay, I'll change it. She changes it and we legit just skip any of the tension, any of the thing that they were trying to build up, which they poorly did anyway in the first place. They skip that. We directly just go to the end of the episode. No, but we directly skip all that stupid stuff, and what happens is basically Blonsky was stopped. Yeah, sorry for that. Had to get some groceries, but yeah, she breaks the fourth wall. They skip all the parts that should have tension in it, and she stops the bad guys off screen. Emil Blonsky stopped, the other guy stopped, and they're getting arrested now. So yeah, they're just getting arrested. They're basically putting away. She tells him, Blonsky, that hey, you have to take, I guess, credibility for what you've done and what's wrongs you've done. So he's going back to prison for 10 years. He goes back in, they just stop it. The only good thing I'd say is she asked for more Matt, because she likes Matt. She even said, I smashed him, whatever. I was like, oh god. But yeah, they bring Matt in, he's like, oh, I'm here to help. He's like, oh, sorry, so it's done. Yeah, we finished this off screen. We didn't really know how to build tension or, make an interesting ending. We just skip over that shit because apparently that's all that matters. But yeah, he shows up and that's it. Nah, there was more. Man, this ending, let's just go on. She does that, she talks to Matt, and she basically goes to a barbecue and stuff with her family, and Matt's there, they're talking to him. She's apparently like supposed to be like her date there, and all of them are like, oh, so what do you do? He's like, oh, I'm a lawyer. They're like, oh, do you make a lot of money? He's like, no, not really, but I'm trying to do the right thing. And they're all there. One of the ladies is hitting on him. One of the old ladies is like, oh, okay. And then Bruce finally shows up, and he brings his son, Scar, from, Sakaar. Which, if you've seen the comic books, you know that his son, Scar and stuff, he has two sons. One of them, basically, I forgot what his name is, but he's a gray one. And it was in the Planet Hulk storyline. He got married, and the ship went off. It blew up, killing his wife, and supposedly his two twin kids. But they survived. One of them basically poisoned the planet and gave it to Galactus, and thus poisoning him. And the other one, Sakaar, basically was, raised and trained by Bruce and became his other son. So they introduced that, so that was pretty cool. They were talking about Matt. That was also nice, and then they pretty much ended it off right there. And then we had Emil Blonsky in a cell, and Wong came in and took him out of there for whatever reason. So yeah, that was pretty much it for this episode and the show as a whole. Now let me go on the show as a whole. Absolute dog shit show. It was not necessary. We didn't need it. It was pointless. A lot of things they did. I mean, what the hell is the point of making this show, okay? What is the point of making it? Like, explain that to me. They don't care about the superhero stuff. They didn't care about, her being She-Hulk. The court scenes were barely anything. What was this for? Who was this for? What was the point of this? They had no reason. It's like they just wanted to make a female superhero show just to make it. And we already had one, Jessica Jones, but they actually cared about doing something in that show because that show had a point. Same thing about WandaVision. They had a point. But this one does not have a point. It's just to be here. The writers, you knew that their minds were not in the right place when they stated, this is not going to be about superhero stuff. This is not going to be about that. It's going to be about relationships and fucking lawyer shit. Get the hell out of here. Daredevil had lawyer stuff, but it also had superhero stuff, and it had big crime stuff. It was dealing with stuff. It had something that this is just dumb. Also, that ending, complete piss poor. Like I said, I was fine with the whole world breaking because I thought it was kind of cool that they're calling it out and kind of funny, but they wasted most of the episode doing it. And then the final scene, the final big climatic part of the show, they literally just skipped it. That was so anticlimactic. This is the definition of anticlimactic. For one, it was very poorly done anyway, building it up. But two, they just skipped it. You're telling me doing it off screen. So her complaint was, oh, it's too formulaic the way you do it. Okay, that's fine. But the way you guys do it is you do that anyway. You lead up to it. And then instead of, fixing it, you just bitch about it and skip it. Yes, that is so much better. That's far better than just having, a generic final fight. I'd rather have a generic big battle than have them just skip it and just be like, well, we beat them off screen and these two guys are going back to prison. The fuck was the point of that? That's the definition of pointless. Like, the fuck was that ending? That was so stupid. The only thing I would say that was cool about this was seeing Scar, Hulk's son, and, Matt Murdock showing up again and, them loving him. Any praises that I see from Matt, I love that. But besides that, it was dumb. It was completely stupid. It was so pointless. Oh, I also forgot Titania showed up and stuff. It was just, why? And they even admit themselves that they don't have the budget to make this stuff. So why did you do it? Why are you wasting money? Why are you doing this to make this shit that people are just not gonna like? Did you try to piss people off on purpose? But yeah, I was hoping that they would have the leader in there trying to do something, but no, it's just some random ass dude who's a weirdo nerd that's like, yeah, let me just fucking see our blood and do this. It's such a dumbass ending. And like I said, my expectations were very low, but they went to the most lazy, most bare minimum one. And this is a thing that I see a lot of people say where there's, there's movies where they basically do a trope and then they call out the trope and basically mocking it, and the argument people make is, well, you're still following it even if you're calling it out. And that's how I felt like with this. Just because they're calling out the stupidity and bad writing of modern Marvel does not change the fact that they still did it and did an even worse version. It was a complete terrible, like, it was just goddamn awful. I am so annoyed. I am so annoyed by the way they handled this. It was a complete shit fest. It was a shit show. What the hell were they thinking? Like, honestly, what the hell were they thinking? This was just, yeah, like I said, just disappointment. There's nothing really I can say about it. The feminist stuff, I would say, wasn't as bad, especially compared to what I've seen. I know a lot of people saying, this is the worst. But here's the thing. There's shows like Supergirl out there. Fucking Batwoman. All those CW shows. There were like Riverdale. There's so many bad shows. And you're saying this is the worst? No. And like I said, there's other ones that are worse. I would say that Supergirl has some of the worst when it comes to woke culture and, feminist stuff shoved in there. Like, the show was just made to shit on men, dick ride women, and, go with, ride on the LGBTQ's, fucking shoulders to, like, the promised land and shit on the streets or whatever. It's just, that show is significantly worse than this, but this is still pretty annoying. And that ending was pretty ass, and it was pointless, and like I said, it is cool that they did the fourth wall breaking, but the way it led, what it led to was so pointless that it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's it for my review of, episode, I think it was 5 through 9, and the whole show as a whole, and the ending, and yeah, it was stupid. Fuck that ending. That was the worst. I would cement that as the worst ending in all of TV history. Of all time, that was the worst ending out of any show. And I'll say this, if you want to watch a show where they have a good strong female lead or strong female leads and good writing and it's Marvel and they have Marvel stuff, watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. infinitely better. I know people say they don't like the first season. Personally, I liked it, but every season of that show is infinitely better than this, and have female leads. Daisy Johnson, amazing character, who used to be known as Sky. They had, what's her name? I forgot what her name was, but they had strong female characters in that. If you want to watch a show with that, watch that. Don't watch this dog shit. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time.